having a slightly longer reach weapon is actually making a pretty significant difference to my viability in the fight itself. Because if you think about it, having a short-range weapon is fantastic for when you actually get in there. You know, when you get into enemy lines and you're not being focused or anything like that, you can get a huge amount of damage done in a very short amount of time. However, when you want a little bit of extra safety, that's what this kind of weapon gives you. Ow. He says as he runs, "Oh! That is the only way I'm allowed to deal damage. Kick, then attack. Kick, then attack," and so on. Okay, so what is kick again? Is it E? Hello and welcome back to our Duelist adventures. Now, before we actually get going with this siege right here, I just want to mention that a couple of people have mentioned to me in the comments of the past couple of episodes a rather intriguing strategy to try to advance our character just that much more. And I'm thinking that that's what I'll try to do in either this episode or the next one. Not entirely sure how it's going to work out, but basically it entails making Najun the leader of his own party, make him a quartermaster there so he has the biggest party size imaginable, and then make ourselves quartermaster as well in our own army, and then give over any leftover units to him. So basically we won't lose any units, we'll just be giving them to whoever becomes the lord in that party. And then as a result, then we call him and we basically say, "Hey, you know, come and join me." And that's going to be, in my opinion, very, very cool. As you can see, I can actually do it right away if I want to. But obviously at the moment, I'm not going to do that. I'm currently a surgeon. We can be anything we want, of course, but I'm currently a surgeon. I think I will probably make this guy a scout. I don't think his scouting skill's any good, to be honest, but yeah. Anyway, that's the strategy that I think I'm probably going to try to utilize, try to, you know, implement it somehow, and we'll see how it goes, because obviously some of the time I want to do these things, but something happens, and like Najun gets himself taken prisoner or something like that before I'm actually able to even, you know, get him into my army or something like that. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see how it works, because steward skill for me is not very good, so me being the quartermaster is probably not going to work too well because I don't have any focus points in it at all, so more than likely I'm not going to be gaining that much skill in it, if any, and that's going to be a bit problematic. I think I'm probably going to go in the front door this time, because last time I took a little bit of a ladder action and brought it to the forefront of that particular siege. So that, you know, that was pretty fun. But I think we might want to go in through the front door, especially considering I'm a little bit injured this time. Oh, we're actually being shot from over here. Okay, I'm gonna try to, you know, change where we're standing right here. I don't really want to get murdered, thank you. Oh no. You know, I thought maybe that I discovered some incredible advantage to hitting a gate, but unfortunately, as you can see right here, it doesn't actually give you one-handed weapon proficiency, which is to be expected, of course, because hitting horses is the same thing, which is, I gotta say, actually kind of strange, because if you think about it, you're still swinging the weapon, so in theory, in a realistic situation at least, you're still going to be getting some kind of practice wielding that particular weapon, whatever it may be. Obviously, it's a little bit different because this is a game, obviously, but you know, it kind of does make a little sense to maybe award a little bit of experience for this action, but obviously then it can be probably taken advantage of quite considerably if you think about it, you know, because let's just say that I literally have no enemies remaining or something like that in a very, very small faction. So let's say there's like, I don't know, 1 or 2 vassals, and they only have 2 fiefs remaining or something like that. And then all I do is I build my battering ram, siege towers, and so on, and then I just go into the siege, and by myself, with a shield equipped or whatever I want equipped, basically. I go over to the front gate, and before the battering ram can get there, I literally just hit it over and over and over again, and then I can just rinse and repeat that as much as I possibly want. So I suppose that's the reason why it does not give experience to do that, because if it did, then you'd have those kinds of situations where players would be taking advantage of it in an albeit very efficient manner, but probably not the intended way the developers wanted people to level up. So that's the reason why it doesn't give experience, I guess. Anyway, there you go. 15 renown, almost 12 influence, and almost 7 morale right there. Not too bad. And we are going to be able to rescue, well, not rescue, but take a couple of people prisoner. Don't have a huge amount of space. I actually am over the amount right now, so I'm just going to get rid of a couple of low tier units, and I'm just going to leave the rest because we're more than likely going to be able to expand our prisoners hold with a number of people getting a little bit better. Oh yeah, now this weapon, okay. Someone said in the comments that this weapon is pretty good apparently, and I think that's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah, the only reason why I did not really take note of this is mainly because I kind of wanted to stay with an extremely fast sword, but as you can see, it's a very minor difference, as you pointed out very correctly in your comment as well. So I'm thinking, hey, you know what? Let's use it and see how it goes. I mean, I already have an extremely swift weapon in the form of the Calradic Mace, so I don't actually need a swift weapon, suffice it to say. So I can more easily use this to murder people that are on mounts or something like that, because it does have a much longer reach. So that's going to make a pretty big difference in my opinion. So thank you to those of you that left me those comments, by the way, because they're all extremely useful. And in general, I am very appreciative of any kind of information that can give us an additional advantage over our opponents, because obviously they are your opponents as well, you know? They're your opponents too, not just mine. We're all in this together, and, well, it is a combined effort of arms and, well, legs as well. Yeah, you know I like that joke. Anyway, point is, going to level up a couple of people here, and we're probably going to do the Najun splitting in just a second. Obviously, I do want to make sure that he restores his HP before we do that. And what do we have here? 28 Desert Immortals. If they didn't have the 28 Desert Immortals, I would go in there like a shot, you know, very, very quickly indeed. Amaldalf is actually leveling up his scouting skill. Don't know why I went into this town over here. I thought it was friendly for some reason. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Anyway, there seems to be an enemy vassal over here who is attempting to take the castle back. And we're not going to allow that, of course. Okay. We are going to allow that, of course. Why is he fighting? Are you serious, sir? Wait a minute. What does he have? Does he have anything good? He only has 16 recruits. I'm going to assume... No, I'm going to assume that this guy has much stronger units than you'd otherwise think. Yeah, I don't really fancy my chances here. You know what? I'm going to go in and just see what's happening, because we can always leave. Oh! Oh, it's actually looking pretty good. It's... I mean, this is the Azarai we're talking about. We're not talking about the Khuzait. It's the Azarai, so... Generally, we might be able to make something work here. And if we can achieve victory here, this is going to give us basically the advantage that we require to, well, murder the Azarai in general. So it should absolutely be something we would consider to do right now. My legionaries are mostly wounded though, which is not good. I would like to have most of those in the fight. But the longer that I actually take to deliberate this, the longer my forces are going to lose units. And that is just not good. That is just not good. Okay, you know what? I'm I'm kind of worried about this, to be honest. I mean, I'm looking at their armies individually now. And you can see here that most of them are recruits. There's a huge amount as well. Look at this. There's so many. Okay, you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to go in. We're going to go in. Let's do this. Alright, so I'm at full HP, and it gives me an opportunity to try out my new sword as well, because it does have an additional 20 or so damage than that my previous one had. So that is pretty crazy in my opinion. Anyway, let's have a look here. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the environment here. As I've said before, I don't like this map in general. I feel like this map is really, really bad for me, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm only in command of my own forces. I am not in command of the overall army, so whatever they end up doing, that is not my fault. I want to point that out immediately, because otherwise it's going to be one of those things where, you know, we end up losing or something, and then I'm going to be like, oh, but it's not my fault. Yeah, but I just want to point it out ahead of schedule, because it might very well happen that we will be defeated here. But we'll see, you know, we'll see. It might be quite surprising. Anyway, I'm just going to continue to move my units ahead here. We have a pretty significant amount of people on the battlefield here too, so we should probably try to utilize our forces quite nicely, because otherwise, well, things might go quite badly. Ooh, the enemy is utilizing this hill here, or this slight mountainous area. Wow, okay, that's actually kind of fiendish. Look at what they've done now. They have taken overwhelming advantage above the main Empire forces. And I'm not entirely sure how we're supposed to deal with this. Apparently, it is just to walk forward and potentially get shot in the face, because whoever goes up there is literally going to get shot in the face. First thing that happens. Oh, 44 damage. Not bad, not bad. Okay, good. I'm liking that. Okay, come on now. Let's get out of here. Okay, come on now. Ah. Yes. Okay. Oh, perfect. Hello. Now, this is what I primarily got this sword for dealing with cavalry, and it seems to be very good. Thank you. Thank you for the recommendation here. It's doing very nicely indeed. Murder him. Yes. Oh, Duel himself. Bear in mind, there's a huge amount of vassals here, so we do need to... Wow, okay. Yeah, get me out of here. Get me out of here, quickly. Okay, come on, guys. Can you just charge? Yeah, I think they are actually charging a little bit now. But they needed to, you know, they needed to charge a little bit earlier, in my opinion. But I guess it's all right. I guess it's okay. So let's see what we can do here. This is a very slow... It feels much slower than my other weapon, but the reach more than makes up for it, I think. And the damage as well. You can see how much damage I'm actually dealing right here. It's pretty insane. Okay, now, let's see. Can I... Yeah, there we go. Ah, yes, we're in a much better situation here now. My positioning is slightly better. And I believe we are now pushing them back, which is exactly what we wanted to do. Thank you very much. Okay, we've got to be a bit careful here. These guys, they can do damage, you know, we know that. They can do damage. This guy's using a mace. Man after my own heart, apparently. Yes, take that, Sanion. Yes, okay, thank you. This is actually quite nice, because having a slightly longer reach weapon is actually making a pretty significant difference to my viability in the fight itself. Because if you think about it, having a short range weapon is fantastic for when you actually get in there. You know, when you get into enemy lines and you're not being focused or anything like that, you can get a huge amount of damage done in a very short amount of time. However, when you want a little bit of extra safety, that's what this kind of weapon gives you. Ow. He says as he runs... Oh! He says as he runs right into them. Ugh. That was a big mistake on my part, but oh well, never mind, never mind. Okay, so how many people have I actually lost right now? We've lost 8. Most of them were nothing really that bad. We lost a Legionary and a Palatine Guard, which is not too bad. Anyway, let's take a look at what is happening here. The remainder of the battle will play out without us, and hopefully they are going to achieve victory. At the moment, I think the Empire is doing a perfectly acceptable job. Unfortunately, they are a little bit on the back foot because the Aserai are taking the, shall we say, control of the rhythm of the fight. Because if you don't know, there are certain rhythms and certain, shall we say, patterns to the way that the AI will attack. And at the moment, the Aserai have definitely taken control of that. Unfortunately for them, however, they just do not have the tier of unit that they need to be able to survive. So they're basically just running their recruits in at the moment to get slaughtered. There really is nothing that they can do about that. Unfortunately, however, because of their exuberance, shall we say, or because of their vigor, their enthusiasm to get into the battle, it has caused a little bit of morale problems with our archers, or they could just be skirmishing. I think they might just be skirmishing, but I think that that's a bit of a waste of a maneuver right now, because our infantry are fighting on the front lines, and then our archers are going to be skirmishing against one cavalry that gets through those lines. Kind of doesn't really make that much sense. Anyway, we're just going to speed things up real quick, and I believe that is indeed a victory. That initial fight that we had on the hill over here, that was perfect. We played that pretty much perfectly. Personally, that is. I feel like I didn't take too much damage. I wasn't causing myself to be too much, too much like sort of like sticking out like a sore thumb, because obviously if that happens, then we're just going to get shot in the face like I ended up getting in the end. But, no matter what, I was able to get quite a lot of experience, which is basically all I really wanted to do, and we now get to take all of the Aserai vassals prisoner, which is absolutely great. Very nice to see that. Unfortunately, I'm actually not going to be taking many of them prisoner, as I would like to let them go. Okay, so we have a lot of people that can level up here. Massive amounts of experience gain. And it's just it's kind of a shame that we didn't have Najun into his own party already, but that's the thing. I kind of didn't want to split my forces into such a dramatic way when we were going into a fight that could have potentially been another one of those fights, another one of those fights where I end up losing a huge amount of people and maybe even getting myself taken prisoner. That's the kind of thing I wanted to try and avoid. So anyway, let's see what we can do here. Otherwise, oh yes, I think someone else actually also mentioned that it might be an idea to go and do some smelting, because if I go and do some smelting, obviously I'm at 1% HP right now, so it might make the most sense for us to take a bit of time. A Maldalf died! No! That is terrible. Okay, that is really, really bad. Right. Well, I'm not entirely sure what to do now. Well, he's gone. I mean, there's not much I can do about it, is there? He's absolutely gone. That is kind of sad, actually. I was going to make him into our scout, but apparently no. That's not going to be working. Yeah, but anyway, as I was wanting to say, I was actually going to go to the nearby town of Razich to see if I could potentially do a little bit of smelting there, because I do have a lot of weapons to smelt, but you got to bear in mind that I don't have a huge amount in smithing at all. As you can see, it has a learning rate of 1.0, which is just really, really awful. I mean, it's basically why Steward's skill doesn't level up either. I mean, look at this learning rate. It has 0.14. Once that reaches 0 or a negative value, this is going to turn red, and it's going to basically be like, hey, you can't level this up anymore. That's the kind of thing that we have to try and avoid. So I think in general, the best thing that one can do, and I haven't been playing like this, by the way. This is something that I have only very sort of recently realized in the last month or so of playing Bannerlord. It is a very good idea to distribute your focus points in a somewhat, well, I wasn't going to say even fashion, but it is recommended that if you're going to be, at least it's recommended by me, not by anyone specific, but just me, and if you're going to be using these skills, so for example, if you're going to gain charm skill, if you're going to gain steward skill by being a quartermaster, if you're going to do a lot of sieges, do engineering, and so on, if you're going to be doing a lot of smelting or riding a horse or using a crossbow or whatever the case may be, then spend some focus points in it. But I recommend not spending all of your focus points in that one skill. Because right now, let's say I took one focus point from one-handed, one from athletics, and one from scouting, and then put those in steward. I would have 3 focus points in steward, and as a result, my steward skill would actually have a pretty decent chance of leveling up when I became a quartermaster. But unfortunately, that's not how it is, and as a result, I am now in a situation where I can't really level those skills up. If I could level those skills, though, I would be leveling my character as a whole. His total level would go up much faster than it would otherwise. So that's the strategy that I feel a lot more people, including myself, should try to utilize. Obviously, that's the thing. They might already be doing this. I might have just realized this way too late. And it might very well be that a lot of people have been doing this already. Maybe you yourself, if you've been playing the game, maybe you also do that. Maybe you spread your focus points a little bit more smartly than what I have been doing. But obviously, as I said in the very beginning of this series, I very badly wanted to try and create a fast-moving duelist of some kind. And to be able to do that, I wanted to try and spec as harshly as possible in those skills. And that's pretty much what I did. So, mission accomplished pretty much in that regard. But unfortunately, as a result, I have now stunted Bruce's growth in a pretty serious way. So, it's going to be very unlikely that I will be able to level up much more unless I'm going to continue, getting one-handed weapon proficiency. If I continue getting into these fights and actually dealing damage in a significant fashion, like an actually decent way, effective way, then that's great. And that's all very well and good, because you can see here I'm still getting a massive amount of one-handed weapon proficiency from going in here and doing damage. But that might not always be the case, I might be really low HP, I might have a situation where I'm not able to deal damage. And then all of those focus points in, like for example now. Yes, like for example now, like I'm dead, right? I'm dead, so obviously I'm not going to be getting any one-handed weapon proficiency. So all those focus points that I so desperately gathered together in the initial starting points of this campaign are wasted. And that's what I wanted to bring to your attention. A much more efficient way of leveling and gaining focus points, gaining attribute points, is to just place about 3 focus points in every single skill, and maybe even keep a couple of these focus points back. So you have a little bit in reserve. Let's say you have 2 focus points in reserve or something like that. And let's say your scouting skill gets way too maxed out. Well, no problem. You've got a focus point to improve that limit. And then they're going to continue leveling it up. So, in my opinion, that's a pretty interesting way of looking at things, and I definitely should have done that beforehand. But as I say, I was just very, very fixated on trying to get those one-handed weapon proficiency points maxed out as soon as possible. So, yeah. Anyway, try that in your next new game. Whenever you play a new campaign, try it out. See how it is, because I obviously haven't tested it yet. I will probably be testing it in my next series, whenever and whatever that may be. But that sounds like a very intriguing way of playing, and it's highly adaptable as well. That's the point. It's highly adaptable, and you're not going to be, pigeonholed pretty much into pretty much doing only one thing. You know, you have a number of different things that you'll be able to utilize at your disposal at any one time. So, you know, if you start off just doing a huge amount of tournaments, for example, and you're really, really good at winning tournaments, and then you start doing some trading after that, well, you're going to have some focus points to be able to spend in trade. So, really makes a big difference. At least I think so. In theory, it sounds like a very, very smart thing to do, but maybe in practicality and actual applications, applying those techniques in an actual situation might not work. So you can always err on the side of caution there, I suppose. Anyway, we're just going to sell a couple of these, and then I'm actually going to go to the smithy here because we do have 2 people with maxed out energy, and we're going to be smelting a couple of things. Unfortunately, I don't actually have any hardwood. That is the main problem here, so I should probably go and buy some. As you can see, they literally have none. How painful is it, really? Okay, so let's just get some charcoal. We're gaining some smithing skill, as you can see right there, but you know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over here. I've got 1 focus point. What else can I spec in? Well, I could spec in tactics, or I could spec in steward, or I could spec into smithing. I think I'm going to spec into smithing. As you can see, the learning rate has absolutely skyrocketed. And now we'll go into the smithy, and we're going to smelt some of these pitchforks. There we go. And let's do a couple more of those, and we'll do some wooden hammers as well. And there you go. Now look at this. Look at how much we have now. We have so much wood remaining, which is really, really good. And now I can basically just wait here for some time. It is going to take me a little bit of time to restore our forces, but once I have restored our forces, I will be hopefully making a party with Najun. But obviously, as you can no doubt tell, I'm kind of not even maxed out in my current army composition, so it's going to take a bit of time for me to be able to actually split our forces in such a meaningful way, because at the moment I'm basically only going to be able to give him either recruits or either units that I would not want to lose. So it's a bit of a half and half situation there, unfortunately. Anyway, I think that should be enough. Yep, we're back at 100%. Very nice indeed. And now we can smelt a couple more things. And we can refine a couple more things. There we go. And Najun is also the same. Very good. When is he going to level up his smithing, by the way? It seems like he is very low on that. Yeah, literally, he has 2 in smithing. Are you serious? That is really, really bad. Okay, is there a tournament actually going on here? Yes, there is actually a tournament going on. I wouldn't mind doing a tournament because I think it's hilariously fun. As a duelist, I think it is extremely fun. Do I have a sword? No, I just have a spear. Well, I guess I can level my polearm skill a little bit. As you can see, I get 30 experience. Don't have anything spec'd into polearms, so of course that is going to be the case. And we're not really able to do that much damage either. Oh, nice. Take out Saratus. Oh, yeah. The vassals do seem to have that issue where they just get eliminated in 1 hit. Murder. Murder him. Yes. Oh, we're doing surprisingly good amounts of damage from close range. And there you go. Murdered. Very nice. Okay, so what else do we have going on here? Okay, this is a 2 versus 2 versus 2 versus 2. And yeah, there we go. Give me that one-handed. All right, look at how fast Bruce is. Look at him. He's like a rocket across the... Well, I was going to say he's like a rocket across the battlefield, but then he got slashed, and that was not particularly good. Oh, in the face. Did you see that? That backslash was super, super cool. I like it. Oh, yeah, they gave me another one. Okay, so now I'm going to go... Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to set myself a challenge now. In every one-on-one that we have, I'm going to set myself a random challenge that I think of on the fly. The random challenge that I have right now is to kill this guy using only thrusting attacks. That might be kind of difficult for me, because I'm not very good at thrusting attacks. Well, maybe I'm just over-leveled in comparison to this guy, because... he was an Imperial-trained archer, so of course he's going to be much better at archery than he is at anything else. So, there's also that. But anyway, Okay, we've got a similar situation here. Once again. Okay, I'm going to try... okay. I will kick and then attack. That is the only way I'm allowed to deal damage. Kick, then attack. Kick, then attack, and so on. Okay, so what is kick again? Is it E? I think it's E, right? Yeah. Okay, I can block. Bear that in mind. I can block, but I just can't... No. Yep, there we go. Now I can attack. Oh, okay, once. Get him. Get him. No. Okay, no. Oh dear. Okay, you know this is not working. This is really not working. Okay, I'm gonna have to do something a little bit differently here. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. Okay, that challenge is too difficult for me. Now, bear in mind, I don't mind about losing the tournament. I much preferred to have the challenge that was set before me. And apparently I was so fiendish. I was so fiendish about thinking of that challenge that it was just too difficult. Way too difficult. And that, on a different note, I feel like the kicking mechanic maybe needs to be made a little bit more... I don't know, a little bit more, shall we say, fluid, because it is quite difficult to utilize it in a decent fashion, because you kick and then you're kind of left wide open, which is all right, I guess. I mean, if you're a much better fighter than I am, then obviously you're going to be able to take advantage of that situation, but for me, not so much. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.